will be the MCU's new Iron Man? Tony Stark's legacy looms large over the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in his absence, a new Iron Man must emerge. The MCU just dropped a big hint in Secret Invasion, showing that James Rhodey Rhodes is being groomed to step into Iron Man's shoes in the upcoming Armor Wars. Rhodey's been with the MCU since the early days, all the way back in the 2008 Iron Man movie when he saved Tony Stark from the Ten Rings. He was one of the first to learn about Tony's superhero identity. The MCU has been planting seeds for potential Iron Man successors, like Spider-Man with Tom Holland, introducing Ironheart, and now finally giving Rhodey his own Marvel gig with the Armor Wars movie. But you know, there can only be one true Iron Man successor in the end. After Tony Stark's heartbreaking sacrifice in Endgame, fans were left wondering who would step into the shoes in the MCU. Interestingly, Wakanda, with its advanced tech, seems to have a role akin to Stark's, equipping heroes like Sam Wilson and Riri Williams with top-notch gear. Speaking of Riri, her transformation into the superhero Ironheart at the end of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever suggests she might be the heir to Stark's legacy. But hold on to your seats, because Phase 5 threw in a controversial twist. Thanks to Rhodey's Skrull reveal, it looks like he's becoming even more Iron Man-like, adding a whole new layer of intrigue to the question of who will be Stark's true successor in the MCU. In a real jaw-dropper, Secret Invasion dropped the bombshell that Rhodey had a Skrull impersonator take his place at some point after his injury in Captain America: Civil War, but before the Phase 5 events. It's a bit of a puzzle figuring out exactly when this switcheroo happened, but the series strongly hints that it went down while Rhodey was recovering in the hospital shortly after the epic airport showdown in Civil War. This revelation implies that the war machine we saw in Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame was actually a Skrull in disguise. This twist is a tough pill to swallow because it suggests that Rhodey might not have been by Tony Stark's side when he made his ultimate sacrifice. Regardless of the timing, this revelation shakes up Rhodey's character in a big way. No doubt, having Rhodey's War Machine suits in the wrong hands during his Skrull substitution was a major cause for concern. Those suits are seriously powerful and dangerous, and it's unsettling to think they were misused during that time. What's more, Rhodey's kidnapping and time in captivity must have been an incredibly traumatic experience, even for someone as seasoned as an Air Force officer and superhero. It's eerily similar to Tony Stark's origin story in the first Iron Man film from 2008. Stark too was held captive, where he saw his own advanced weapons being used against American soldiers. After his escape, Stark made a big change by shutting down his company's weapons division and actively sought out and destroyed any Stark Industries weapons that had ended up in the wrong hands, particularly with the Ten Rings. So Rhodey's situation shares some striking parallels with Stark's journey. In Armor Wars, Rhodey is bound to confront the trauma of his Skrull captivity, which is no small thing. At the same time, he'll have even more motivation to make sure that powerful tech like his War Machine suits doesn't end up in the wrong hands again. But the similarities with Tony Stark's journey continue. Rhodey, like Stark, faces a debilitating physical injury. While Stark found a way to manage his shrapnel-induced heart issue with the arc reactor, Rhodey's spinal injury from the events of the Civil War likely means he can only walk while wearing his War Machine suits. That adds a whole new layer of complexity to his character and challenges he'll have to overcome. And there's more. Just like Stark, Rhodey will also need to repair his public image. The fact that his Skrull imposter nearly pushed the world into a third world war certainly doesn't help matters. So it looks like Rhodey's journey in Armor Wars will involve quite a few echoes of Tony Stark's iconic character arc. Now, it seems like the MCU's War Machine might have been the best Iron Man replacement all along. In Phases 3 and 4 of the MCU, they did set up a couple of other heroes as potential successors to Iron Man. Spider-Man, with his brilliant invention skills and mentorship from Tony Stark, seemed like a natural fit. However, it's clear that Stark never really intended for Peter Parker to take his place. He wanted Peter to learn from his own mistakes and grow on his own, and 2 of Spider-Man's MCU films were dedicated to him stepping out of Iron Man's shadow. As for Ironheart, she's somewhat more distant from Iron Man's legacy. Her inspiration came from him when she crafted her initial Ironheart suit, and she did benefit from his funding for her school. But the connection isn't as direct as some might think. As for other characters like Morgan Stark, she is too young now to take on Iron Man's legacy. But her mom, on the other hand, can be a potential replacement. Rescue, Pepper Potts' character in the MCU. While she does have some potential to carry on Tony Stark's legacy, there are some factors to consider. On the positive side, Rescue has her own Iron Man suit, and she showed her mettle in battle against Thanos. She's got leadership experience and a good understanding of what Tony would have wanted, making her a credible candidate for taking up the Iron Man mantle. Just like Rhodey, she's been with us since the first Iron Man. However, there are some drawbacks to consider. Gwyneth Paltrow, while a well-known actress, isn't typically associated with action roles. She also hasn't had much opportunity to interact with many of the remaining superheroes in the MCU, which could affect the chemistry and dynamics of the team. Additionally, Pepper Potts' character may not be as popular or beloved by fans compared to some other MCU characters. The financial aspect is another consideration. Paying a big-name actress like Paltrow, who may not have the same box office pull as some other actors, could be a significant investment for Marvel. While Rescue may have a role to play in the future of the MCU and passing the torch to a new Iron Man, it's true that the chances of her getting a solo movie and taking on the Iron Man's legacy herself might be slim given these factors. So in retrospect, it seems like War Machine, Rhodey, was the one who had the closest ties to Iron Man and was perhaps the most natural successor all along. Rhodey, out of these potential successors, has the closest and longest-lasting connection to Iron Man. He's been Stark's closest friend for decades and has become one of his most trusted superhero allies as War Machine. In Marvel's comic history, Rhodey even stepped into the Iron Man role during a challenging period when Stark was dealing with alcoholism. Rhodey's journey as War Machine was set up right from the end of the first Iron Man movie in 2008, and throughout the MCU, he's continually proven himself as more than capable of carrying on Tony Stark's legacy. Now, with his character arc mirroring Stark's more than ever, it's becoming increasingly clear that War Machine is the ideal choice to replace Iron Man in the upcoming Armor Wars. That being said, let's discuss one more character who can take on Iron Man mental and fill in the shoes of RDJ: Harley Keener. There have been persistent rumors and speculation since 2013's Iron Man 3 that Ty Simpkins, who played Harley Keener, could potentially take over the role of Iron Man in the future of the MCU. In the film, Harley Keener was a resourceful young kid who helped Tony Stark when he was dealing with the Mandarin. Stark left him with some of his advanced tech gadgets, hinting at the passing of the torch. At the end of Iron Man 3, Stark expressed his desire to scale back his life as Iron Man, setting the stage for the possibility of someone like Keener stepping in. Ty Simpkins even made a brief appearance in Avengers Endgame, which has fueled speculation that this storyline might indeed play out in a future movie. So it's definitely a compelling narrative thread that the MCU could explore, and fans have been curious to see if and how Ty Simpkins' character will evolve in the franchise. Now, we want to hear from you. Who do you think is the ideal successor to Iron Man in the MCU? Is it Rhodey, Rescue, someone else entirely, or perhaps a combination of characters? Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts and theories in the comments below.